So this was my last summer skate, and I ended up using these pads, which are my G7 pads, and I finally dialed in almost all of the strapping on it. I've talked about a lot of things on these pads in regards to sizing and just how you're strapping things, and I've been looking at my neck cam footage, and I can just feel as well of things that aren't working or things I want to change on it. And one of the things I noticed was when I use the original toe ties, depending on where I put them on the skate, they were either doing one or two things. So if I did it on the max height here and went through the toe, the pad would just slide down my skate and you could see it basically dragging on the ice when I moved around. And I noticed it just being awkward because I noticed my leg was just moving a lot when I was actually on the ice and moving and trying to actually make plays. I just noticed that my skate was very far away from the pad and that it would really move a lot when I got up and moved around. So I want to change that. I don't want this pad to totally sop down onto the ice and kind of sit there. I want it to be more controlled. Then I put the strap to the middle of my skate. So I originally did the toe hold, then I put it into the middle, and that one worked for in terms of keeping the pad up my skate a bit so it wasn't kind of sliding all the way down. But I did notice that it just wasn't loose enough for me, and I felt when I was in the RVH and I was trying to do things against the post and really lean into it, I felt a bit of ankle strain on it just because it wasn't as loose as I wanted to. It was a little bit tighter than I wanted to on my skate. So I decided to go a third route, which is using their included little attachment piece, and this is a Kova bungee cord. You can see like this. So this gives me a bit of two things. While it doesn't have slack kind of built into it, this piece itself kind of acts like slack, to be totally honest. And then the other connection piece right here also kind of acts like slack. So normally I would just do skate lace and then use something like this, a bungee toe tie, to give you some slack to get that post integration a little bit better. And then also just make sure you have like no issues on your ankles whatsoever. But this setup has worked really well for me, and you can see it in here. I can do post integrations very easy on it. This little piece hits the post, but it doesn't get in the way at all. And this is bungee enough that doesn't cause any issues either. So it works very well in that sense. I'm really happy with what this is so far, and these pads feel absolutely fantastic. And there's one small change I have to make in the future. This inner strap is still too tight. It's on the loosest setting. I then put it through the hole into this wing, because when you put it on the outer one, it ends up actually feeling more tight because it has to go around this wrap. So this is the shortest path. So that's the way I got it as loose as possible, but it's still too tight. I don't like how much I have to kind of overhang the Velcro onto this piece, where it ends up being touching my socks. And that's the sticky side of the Velcro touching my socks. I don't want that. I want it to be looser than I can currently do it. So people online have come up with excellent solutions for this. The attachment piece on here can just be attached with a string. So I want it to be looser than what it currently is. And people just said, yeah, just put like a skate lace through there, and then you can make your own extra little loop. And then that way you can do it so this can become more loose than what it is. So I'm going to make that change. It's a small mod. I'm going to do it before I probably start the next season, which is, when I'm looking at my calendar, it's probably in a couple weeks. And this skate happened at the beginning of August. So once I kind of go back into these, I will have this a little bit looser as well. I noticed in this video, and that's why I like doing neck cam, you can really see where your knee lands on things. Sometimes my knee lands on the lower part of the block, other times it's perfect. And that's kind of the case with when you have looser fitting pads. But because this is still a little too tight, that's kind of what is causing the pad to ride up a little bit. So once I can loosen this up a little bit more, this whole knee piece right here and this strap straight across the knee wing will kind of keep my knee from going over the top, and it should land more consistent of where I want it to. I had no issues with stability with these pads at all. I had no issues feeling like I'm falling too low or anything. They felt absolutely fantastic, and they are really close to being dialed in perfect. I'm actually really excited to use these this year for my better leagues. I absolutely love these pads. I love the glove, the blockers, okay, but I'm really excited to see it and use it on that really bad ice all the time at night. So it's gonna be great for that. The one thing I did notice a lot of, and this is a weird part because I love stiff pads and I love straightish pads. This is the straightest pad I own. It's just ridiculous how straight this thing is. It's hard to get that perfect seal with these pads. I find there's a gap of like that all the time, just because you need the extreme flare to get this thing curved, because there is no angle at all. Even usually on like the knees, on my Hyperlite 2s, which are pretty straight, the knee is kind of a sharper bend, so it comes up a little bit more that way, so it closes no problem. These ones are very straight, so I really have to like be conscious of that. I haven't noticed any issues in terms of stopping pucks on it yet, but when I go down, I can kind of see it, and I got to be conscious of it and make adjustments to it. So that's something I'm going to be looking out for when I'm playing in the leagues, because obviously these have just been like shinny skates and not super fast, and no one's really trying all that hard. So once I get into those actual leagues, we'll see how it ends up performing. But I think we're going to be fine, and I'm going to be able to deal with it just fine. but I'm very excited to wear these going forward. Core Tech, which are Core shorts, and people have heard of these before. They were labeled under Under Armour before. Now Bauer sells hockey specific one, but Core themselves sell their own line of pants and supportive clothing and apparel. Basically, this stuff helps you with growing strains, growing pulls, and helps keep your hips tight and everything like that. And speaking of injuries, I kind of pulled a growing playing in the playoffs a few months ago and have had to keep using these Core Tech shorts to make sure my growing doesn't get worse. When I don't wear them, I can feel it and it hurts kind of to walk the next day. With these, keeps everything nice and tight and keeps everything from stretching out too far and getting injured. So these have been a huge savior for me. Check out the link in the description to their website and use my coupon code that's in there to get a discount, and I'll put it on the screen here. It helps support myself and the channel so I can make content and doing real reviews, but also you get a solid product that I use all the time and basically am needed in order to keep my growing from falling apart. Otherwise, if you want to support the channel without buying anything, check out the links in the description to Patreon and Buy Me a Coffee. Everything through those links always comes back into the channel so I can keep making more content and doing more reviews.
Y'all ready for this?
You're watching HockeyReviews.ca.